You know, retirement is supposed to be this golden time in our lives, a chance to finally relax, enjoy our hobbies, and spend time with loved ones. But if you're like a lot of folks I've talked to, you might find that instead of feeling peaceful, your mind is racing with worries. Maybe it's about finances, health, or even just this nagging feeling of, what should I be doing now? It's funny, isn't it? We spend years looking forward to retirement, and then when it finally arrives, we realize we weren't quite prepared for the emotional side of it. The structure of work is gone, the daily purpose might feel a little fuzzy, and suddenly, anxiety creeps in. But here's the good news, you're not alone, and more importantly, there are simple, practical ways to ease that worry and find real peace in this next chapter. That's exactly what we're going to talk about today, 5 gentle but powerful ways to let go of anxiety and truly enjoy your retirement. These aren't complicated strategies, they're things you can start doing today, little by little, to feel more calm and in control. So let's begin with the first one, and it might surprise you because it's something we often forget to do as we get older, giving yourself permission to rest. For so many of us, our worth was tied to productivity. We worked hard, raised families, and always had a to-do list a mile long. Now that you're retired, there's this quiet pressure, maybe from yourself or even well-meaning family, to stay busy. But here's the truth, rest isn't laziness. It's healing. It's necessary. Think of it like this, if you spent decades running a marathon, wouldn't it make sense to catch your breath at the finish line? Yet so many retirees feel guilty for napping, reading a book just for fun, or sitting quietly with a cup of tea. But those moments of stillness? They're where peace begins. Try this. For the next week, allow yourself one small, rest ritual, every day, whether it's a 20-minute lie-down after lunch or simply sitting outside and listening to the birds. Notice how your body and mind respond. You might just find that the world doesn't fall apart when you slow down. In fact, you might start feeling more like yourself again. Now, the second strategy is all about connection. One of the biggest sources of worry in retirement is the feeling of being untethered, like you've lost your place in the world. And while it's true that work friendships or the rhythm of a career fade, that doesn't mean you have to lose connection altogether. But here's the key, it doesn't have to look the way it used to. Maybe you're not up for big social gatherings anymore, and that's okay. What matters is finding small, meaningful ways to feel close to others. It could be as simple as a weekly phone call with an old friend, joining a gentle yoga class at the community center, or even striking up conversations with neighbors during your morning walk. I'll tell you a quick story. A friend of mine, Martha, told me that after she retired, she felt invisible. So she started volunteering just 1 hour a week at the local library, helping kids with reading. Not only did it give her a sense of purpose, but those little faces lighting up when they saw her? That became her new joy. You don't have to overhaul your life, just reach out in a way that feels right for you. And that brings us to the third way to ease anxiety, focusing on what you can control. Retirement comes with a lot of unknowns, health changes, financial shifts, even the loss of people we love. It's easy to spiral into what-ifs. But here's what I've learned, worry doesn't prevent bad things from happening, it just robs you of the good things right in front of you. So instead of trying to control everything, which, let's be honest, we never could, try this. Each morning, name 1 or 2 small things you can influence. Maybe it's sticking to a budget, taking your medication on time, or choosing to laugh at something today. At night, reflect on those things. Over time, you'll train your mind to focus less on the storms you can't stop and more on the steps you can take. Now, we've covered 3 important strategies so far, allowing yourself to rest, nurturing connection, and focusing on what's in your control. But there are 2 more that can make a world of difference, and they're just as practical and gentle as what we've talked about already. So let's keep going, because the best part of retirement should be enjoying it, not spending it wrapped up in worry. You know, sometimes the simplest things make the biggest difference, especially when it comes to quieting that anxious voice in our heads. And that's exactly what our next strategy is about, moving your body in a way that feels good. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking: exercise? At my age? But hear me out, this isn't about running marathons or lifting heavy weights. It's about reminding your body that it's still alive, still capable of joy. When we move, our brains release chemicals that naturally ease anxiety. And the best part? It doesn't have to feel like work. Think back to when you were a kid. Did you ever just move for the fun of it? Maybe you danced to your favorite song, took long walks without a destination, or even gardened for hours without noticing the time. That's the spirit we're bringing back. Maybe for you, it's a daily 10-minute stretch when you wake up, a leisurely swim, or even just swaying to an old tune while you cook dinner. The key is to find what feels good, not punishing. I remember talking to a gentleman named Henry who told me his anxiety skyrocketed after he retired. His doctor kept telling him to exercise, but he hated gyms. Then one day, his grandson asked him to teach him how to fish. Those quiet mornings by the lake, casting a line, feeling the sun on his face, that became his workout. And without even realizing it, his shoulders stopped carrying so much tension. So ask yourself, what's your version of moving with joy? Start small. Even 5 minutes counts. Now, let's talk about the fifth strategy, one that might feel a little uncomfortable at first, but it's incredibly powerful: letting go of the need to have everything figured out. Retirement is a bit like standing at the edge of a dock, looking out at the water. For years, we had a clear path: work, family, responsibilities. Now, the horizon is wide open, and that freedom can feel terrifying instead of exciting. We pressure ourselves to have a plan, to make the most of our time, as if retirement is a project we might fail. But here's a secret: you don't have to have all the answers. It's okay to let some days unfold slowly, to experiment, to change your mind. Maybe you'll pick up a hobby and drop it 3 weeks later. Maybe you'll spend a whole month doing nothing but reading mystery novels, and that's fine. This isn't a test. It's your life. A dear friend, Evelyn, shared something that stuck with me. She said, "I spent my first year of retirement frantic, trying to fill every minute. Then one afternoon, I caught myself watching the way the light came through the curtains, and I realized, I didn't need to be doing anything at all to be happy." That's the gift of this stage: permission to just be. So if you find yourself worrying that you're not doing enough, pause. Take a deep breath. Remind yourself that this time is yours, no explanations needed. Some of the most peaceful moments come when we stop chasing and start allowing. Now, we've covered 5 meaningful ways to ease worry and find more peace in retirement: rest, connection, focusing on what you can control, joyful movement, and releasing the pressure to have it all figured out. But before we wrap up, I want to leave you with one last thought that ties everything together. You know, one of the most beautiful things about getting older is that we've earned the right to rewrite the rules, especially when it comes to how we spend our days and where we put our energy. And if there's one thing I hope you take away from all this, it's that retirement isn't just an ending, it's an invitation. An invitation to finally put yourself first, to listen to what your heart and body really need, and to let go of the shoulds that don't serve you anymore. Now, I want to share one last idea that might seem simple, but it's truly transformative: practice gratitude for the small, ordinary moments. When anxiety creeps in, it's usually because our minds are either stuck in the past, worrying about what we could have done differently, or racing ahead to the future, playing out all the things that might go wrong. But peace? Peace lives in the present. And the quickest way to anchor yourself there is to notice the little things that are still good, still beautiful, still working just fine. Try this: tonight, as you're getting ready for bed, think of 3 small things that made today worthwhile. Maybe it was the way your coffee tasted just right this morning, or how the cashier at the store smiled at you, or even that cozy old sweater that softened perfectly over the years. Nothing is too small to count. Over time, This habit rewires your brain to scan for what's right instead of what's worrisome. I'll never forget what a viewer named Robert told me after trying this. He said, "At first, I thought it was silly, my knees hurt, my pension wasn't perfect, so what was there to be grateful for? But then I started noticing things, like how my cat always curls up next to me at 3 p.m., or how my neighbor waves from his porch. Now I fall asleep counting those moments instead of my worries." And that's the thing about gratitude, it doesn't erase life's challenges, but it does remind us that good still exists alongside them. Now, let's take a step back and weave all these strategies together, because they work even better when combined. Imagine your ideal retirement day. You wake up and allow yourself to rest instead of jumping into chores. You connect with someone you care about, even if it's just a short phone call. You focus on what you can control. Maybe you choose to eat a nourishing meal or take your medications on time. Later, you move your body in a way that feels good, whether that's gardening or dancing in your living room. And as the day winds down, you let go of the need to have it all figured out, maybe even laughing at something silly instead of overthinking. Finally, you notice a few small joys before bed. That's how these habits stack up, not as a rigid checklist, but as gentle guideposts leading you back to yourself. Some days you'll do them all, other days, just one will be enough. And that's perfectly okay. Because here's the truth, retirement isn't a problem to solve. It's a season to savor. Sure, there will still be worries, that's part of being human, but they don't have to run the show anymore. You've spent decades caring for others, meeting deadlines, and keeping it all together. Now is your time. So if you take nothing else from this video, remember this: you are allowed to feel peaceful. You're allowed to enjoy slow mornings and quiet afternoons. You're allowed to change your mind, to say no, to prioritize what makes your soul feel light. That isn't selfish, it's wisdom. And if you ever forget, come back to these 5 touchstones: rest, connection, control what you can, move with joy, and release the rest. They're like a compass you can always realign with. Before I go, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What's one small thing that helped you worry less in retirement? Maybe it's something we talked about today, or perhaps you found your own unique trick. Let's learn from each other, because we're all in this chapter together. And if this resonated with you, hit that like button. It helps others find these conversations too. Don't forget to subscribe for more honest talks about making the most of these golden years. Until next time, remember, your best days aren't behind you. They're right here, waiting to be noticed, one peaceful moment at a time. Here's to living them well. Have you ever had one of those days where you wake up and just feel off? Maybe nothing's really wrong, but something doesn't feel quite right either. You sit with your morning coffee, look out the window, and wonder why everything seems a little duller than usual. You're not alone. As we get older, it's normal to experience shifts in mood, energy, and even motivation. But here's a little secret not everyone talks about: sometimes, the quickest path to feeling better isn't a pill, a walk, or a phone call, it's a song. Yes, really. One good song, just the right melody, at the right time, can change your whole day. It can bring a smile to your face, spark a memory from years ago, or even bring a tear to your eye in the best, most healing way. Music has this incredible power to reach deep inside us, stir up emotions, and remind us that we're still alive, still feeling, still growing, still human. And that's what we're talking about today: music therapy. But don't let that term scare you. You don't need to lie down on a couch or talk about your childhood to a stranger while soft piano music plays in the background. Music therapy, in its simplest form, is using music, sounds, rhythms, songs, to help shift your emotional state and improve your well-being. And the best part? You can start right from your living room, right now, with nothing more than a pair of ears and a few minutes of your time. There's something incredibly comforting about music. Think about it: Have you ever heard an old song come on the radio and suddenly you're transported back to a different time? Maybe it was the song you danced to at your wedding. Or a tune your father used to hum while working around the house. These aren't just coincidences. Your brain actually stores music differently than it does words or faces. That's why even people with memory issues can often remember lyrics to songs they haven't heard in years. It's a kind of magic, isn't it? But this isn't just about nostalgia, although that's a big part of it. Music affects our brains in real, physical ways. Listening to certain types of music can trigger the release of dopamine, the feel-good chemical. It can lower levels of cortisol, the stress hormone. And it can even reduce physical pain and help regulate breathing and heart rate. In fact, hospitals around the world use music as part of patient recovery plans, especially for older adults. Now I know what some of you might be thinking: I'm not musical, or I don't have fancy speakers or headphones. But that's the beauty of this. You don't need anything fancy. You don't need to sing, play an instrument, or know the difference between jazz and blues. All you need is the willingness to try. Just press play. Let's say you wake up feeling a little anxious. Nothing big, just that low, buzzing restlessness that sometimes comes with aging and all the changes it brings. Try putting on a soft instrumental piece, maybe some slow classical music, or even the sound of rainfall mixed with gentle strings. Let yourself sit still and just listen. Not multitask, not plan the day, just listen. Let the music fill the room. It's not about fixing something, it's about feeling something, and letting that emotion move through you. Other days, maybe what you need is a spark. You're feeling sluggish, like your body's dragging behind your mind. On those days, put on something lively. Maybe an old rock and roll favorite or a Motown classic that used to make you tap your feet when you were younger. Don't worry about whether you should still be dancing. If your toes are tapping and your fingers are snapping, then it's working. One woman I spoke with, 72 years old and recently widowed, told me she started every morning by playing a playlist her late husband had put together years ago. It makes me cry sometimes, she said, but it also reminds me that I'm still here. That I can still feel love. That, right there, is healing. And music doesn't just work when you're alone. If you live with someone, or have friends or grandkids nearby, play music together. Dance in the kitchen. Sing while you cook. Make a game of guessing the artist. These small moments of shared joy are not small at all, they're what make life worth living. They're what keep us connected. Now, I know not everyone's hearing is what it used to be. And that's okay. Many devices today let you adjust sound levels, or isolate vocals, or amplify certain ranges so you can still enjoy the richness of the music. And if lyrics are hard to catch, let yourself feel the rhythm, the beat, the rise and fall of the melody. Your body remembers music even when your ears don't catch every word. And here's a tip that might surprise you: don't just listen to happy songs. It's okay to listen to music that makes you feel a little sad, too. That kind of music can help you release emotions you didn't even know were sitting inside you. A slow ballad, a mournful cello solo, or a haunting melody can be like a friend who says, "I understand." Sometimes, that's exactly what you need. What's important is that you choose music that resonates with you, not what's popular, not what someone else says is uplifting. Your healing playlist might include Sinatra, or gospel hymns, or even old movie soundtracks. Trust your gut. You'll know when a song hits that special place in your heart. That's the song you keep coming back to. Now, if you're new to this and don't know where to start, try picking 3 songs today, just 3, that make you feel something. They can be calming, joyful, nostalgic, anything that stirs a real emotion. Play one in the morning when you're getting ready. One in the afternoon during a break. And one at night before bed. Notice how your mood shifts, even a little bit. That's music doing its work. That's therapy without needing a therapist. So much of aging can feel like loss, of energy, of independence, of people we love. But music gives us something back. It reminds us that joy is still available, that our stories are still unfolding, and that feeling alive doesn't stop at 60 or 70 or even 90. There's something very human about the way we connect with music. It reaches us in ways words often can't. And when you're feeling down, when the days feel heavy, a familiar tune can be the light you didn't know you needed. Let's keep going. Once you start to feel the emotional lift from just a few songs, you might begin to wonder, why does this work so well? What is it about music that can change how we feel so quickly, even more effectively sometimes than a conversation or a walk outside? Well, music doesn't just entertain us, it speaks to the emotional centers of the brain. Scientists have found that music stimulates the same areas that process emotions like joy, grief, love, and fear. It's like a shortcut to the heart. When you hear a tune you love, your brain lights up in all the right places, sending signals throughout your body that can help reduce tension, ease pain, and even bring a sense of peace that words sometimes fail to deliver. One man I spoke with, George, in his early 80s, told me about a small ritual he started last year. Every evening before dinner, he puts on a jazz record from the 1950s. Doesn't matter which one. He lights a candle, sets his plate down, and lets the music take over for the first few bites. He said it helps him slow down, feel grateful, and even makes the food taste better. "It's my little slice of joy," he said. "Just me, the saxophone, and a sense that life is still beautiful." That's music therapy in real life. No hospital, no appointments, just a moment carved out for beauty and feeling. Now, some days you might need something more immersive. And that's where guided music listening can come in handy. This simply means sitting down with a few songs, maybe 5 or 6, that you choose intentionally, and letting them walk you through an emotional journey. You might start with something a little heavy or slow if your mood feels flat. Then you gradually move towards something more hopeful or upbeat. It's like moving from clouds to sunlight, one song at a time. And if you want to take it even further, try pairing the music with movement. I don't mean jumping around the living room, unless you want to. I mean something as gentle as swaying in your chair, tapping your hand on the table, or even just closing your eyes and letting the music guide your breath. Let yourself feel the music, not just hear it. I knew a retired school teacher who started doing this during the pandemic. Alone at home, she felt the walls closing in, especially at night. So she made a little corner of her living room into her music nook. Just a chair, a lamp, and a speaker. Every evening, she would sit, pick a song that matched her feelings, and let herself cry, laugh, or remember. She said it helped her sleep better than any sleeping pill she'd ever tried. Because when we process our emotions instead of bottling them up, something shifts. And music helps us do that gently, without pressure. Some people find comfort in listening to religious hymns or spiritual chants. Others may find healing in Native American flutes, old country ballads, or even the golden hits of the 60s and 70s. There's no right or wrong here. The music that lifts you is the right music. And sometimes, the healing comes not from the melody but from the lyrics. Words that echo your own story can feel like a hand on your shoulder. A song that says, "I've been where you are," can remind you that you're not alone. One woman told me she listens to the same song every Sunday afternoon because there's a line in it that says, "I made it through the storm, and I'm still standing." She said those words give her strength. It's like a weekly reminder from someone who understands, even if that someone is just a voice in a song. Now here's another powerful way to use music: create a memory playlist. This is a list of songs from different chapters of your life. Maybe one from your childhood, one from your teen years, one from your first job, your wedding, your first big vacation. As you listen to each song, let yourself remember, not just the events, but the feelings. Who you were. What you hoped for. What you overcame. This isn't just an exercise in nostalgia, it's a way of reconnecting with your full self, the self that's lived 1,000 lives in one body. And if you're feeling a little disconnected from yourself lately, maybe the years feel like they've blurred together, music can bring you back. It's like opening an old photo album in your mind, but instead of seeing images, you feel moments. That's the magic of sound. It doesn't fade with time. It lives in you. You might be wondering, what if I don't know what music to choose? That's okay. You can experiment. There are plenty of playlists available online specifically made for relaxation, joy, energy, healing, or memory. Or ask someone close to you to help make a playlist together. It can even become a shared project, one that brings you closer and helps them understand you a little better. Music opens doors, not just to your emotions, but to your relationships too. Another small but powerful tip: use music to start your day. Before you pick up your phone, turn on the news, or start your to-do list, take 5 minutes and play one song that sets the tone you want. Peaceful. Joyful. Reflective. It's a simple act, but one that can change the course of your morning. And over time, it becomes a habit, like brushing your teeth, but for your soul. Let's not forget that singing along is also a form of therapy. Even if your voice isn't what it used to be, let it out. Singing engages your lungs, strengthens your diaphragm, and releases endorphins. It doesn't have to be in tune, it just has to be yours. That moment when you sing your heart out to an old favorite? That's healing in action. That's your spirit remembering how to shine. Music therapy isn't about fixing you. It's about reminding you that you were never broken. That deep inside, there's still rhythm, still melody, still hope. And all it takes to bring it forward is pressing play. And if all of this is sounding a little too simple to be powerful, well, maybe that's the point. Healing doesn't always have to come in the form of something big or complicated. Sometimes, the most meaningful changes begin with something as small as the first few notes of a song. The right melody at the right moment can be just what your heart needs to shift from heaviness to lightness. Now, let's take a moment to talk about music you create yourself. I know, some folks say, "Oh no, I'm not musical, I never learned an instrument." But you don't have to be a musician to enjoy the therapeutic benefits of making sound. You can hum, whistle, or even tap a steady beat with your fingers. If you have a piano or a guitar lying around gathering dust, try playing a few notes. Let yourself play badly. Play without purpose. You're not auditioning, you're expressing. There's a deep sense of freedom that comes when you allow yourself to create without judgment. That moment you press a piano key and let it ring out into your living room, that's more than a sound. That's you, stepping into the present. That's healing, too. I once met a gentleman in his mid-70s who picked up the harmonica after his wife passed. He said he'd never played an instrument before, but he just wanted to breathe deeply and feel like he was still alive inside. He'd sit on his porch and play, slow, wandering tunes that seemed to match the color of the sky. And even when it didn't sound perfect, it felt right. He called it his grief music, and said it helped him cry when he needed to and smile when he could. It gave shape to feelings he didn't have words for. Because that's another gift music offers, it lets you feel without having to explain. No one's asking you to describe your pain or your joy. You just let it move through you, one note at a time. And for those days when you feel anxious or restless, music can be your anchor. Try listening to slow, rhythmic sounds, something with a heartbeat-like pattern. Nature sounds mixed with soft piano or gentle drumming can slow your breathing, relax your muscles, and bring you back to center. Play it while you sit outside, while you stretch, or just as you sip your tea. Let the music hold you steady. It's amazing how just 5 or 10 minutes of the right sound can reset your entire emotional state. You don't need to fix everything today. You just need a moment of calm, and music can give you that moment. And it's never too late to make music a daily habit. In fact, the older we get, the more we benefit from building small rituals that nourish the soul. A song before bed. A melody during your walk. A tune you hum while cooking. These little moments become anchors, soft reminders that your spirit is still very much alive and capable of joy. Now, let's take a second and look back on what we've talked about. Music isn't just something to pass the time. It's a tool,